There you go.
Yes, people, welcome back to the channel. Myself and Lee are back. Apologies that I've been away. I've actually been away, to be fair, so I haven't done any content on my channel or on here. And Lee has been over in the Netherlands. And you're back, mate. How are you feeling, Lee? Are you tired? Are you knackered?
I
Do you have a nice time?
am absolutely shattered, mate. Absolutely shattered, really. Hardly any sleep. But always good trips, always a good laugh. And I'm going to be honest, Dan, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the game without no pressure. I really enjoyed the game, sitting there, really enjoying it first half. I started feeling the pressure when all the bloody first team players coming on, when Rice was sprinting after balls and things like that. I started to panic. I was glad the game was over, like in the end, you know what I mean? But it is nice to watch Arsenal or watch a game of football where there's no pressure on it. I don't feel it any other time. You know what I mean? Whether it's a cup game or any sort of game. Really. I can't remember the last time I've sort of really not watched a game or gone to a game where it didn't really matter if we won, lost, or drawn. And that's the fact I think people can't seem to grasp. We could have won that game 15-0, right? The same consequences would have happened. We could have lost it 15-0, the same consequences have happened. And more importantly, if we'd have lost 4 players from injury yesterday, nothing was changed. That was my issue with everything yesterday, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, and I was going to be really honest. I was gutted that I didn't see none of the youngsters come on, but pleased for El Neni. I'm going to say it now, pleased for Cedric. I thought he done well, like, in the game. But, yeah, I don't know how you feel about it. Was it, you was doing a watch along, so how was it for you? Like, you know, same sort of relaxed sort of atmosphere, or?
Yeah, I did the watch along, and it was funny. For those that didn't see it, like Robbie and Laurie were just like arguing about how important this was and how it wasn't important. And Laurie was kind of on one side saying, "Look, this is a game that I want to see us win. I want to see us play well, and I don't care who plays. This is a proper game of football. It's a Champions League game." And there's the other flip side that Robbie and a few of the other guys agreed with, that actually this is nonsense. You just rest players and play kids. The way I saw it, Lee, the team selection frustrated me in 2 positions and 2 positions only, and that was the centre-back pairing. I don't know why Saliba and Gabriel had to start that game. I wouldn't have cared if it was Ben White and Walters, if I'm honest with you. We'll come back onto that in a minute. But the rest of the team, I was fine with. I expected to see Nelson and Eddie. They're the sort of games that they need to get minutes. I expected to see El Neni and Jorginho. Otherwise, they're not going to be playing. And I expected to see Kivior playing at the back. I did expect to see Cedric, believe it or not. He was in my team selection and my prediction. And I expect to see Ramsdale. So I don't think I was at the team selection thinking, what the hell's going on here? Apart from Gabriel and Saliba, I would have liked to have seen that change. But for me, it was very similar to West Ham. We played a B team and he threw everybody on again to try and win the game. And I was just wondering what was going on. Now, there's one hand, Arsenal fans will say, of course, it's a good thing. He's bringing on players to try and win the game. On the other hand, what the hell is he bringing them on for? They might get injured. And I just wanted to ask you where you're at with that, Lee, and I'll tell you where I'm at with it. Because Saliba, Gabriel, Rice, Erdegaard, Saka, and Jesus, I would say, are the players that cannot get injured because we have no cover for them players. We have cover, but it's just drop off, yeah? So Saliba isn't, and Kivior, we don't really want to be having to not play them 2 together. Saliba, Kivior, Gabriel, and Kivior, that's the backup. Likewise with Declan Rice, we don't have another box-to-box midfielder. The Erdegaard, when he's not in, there's a drop-off. And Saka, there's a drop-off. And of course, Jesus, there's a drop-off. So when he started flinging them on, I was thinking, what's he doing? That was me. Now, some people might say, well, we're trying to bring on to win the game. It's a game of football, you know, and it's competitive, and it's a Champions League game, and we want to get 3 points, and it's good for Mikel Arteta because he wants to win every game. So I can see both sides. I think people have got different opinions of it. I think it's a bit of a dead rubber, nothing game, and I'd rather keep them fit for the weekend. And it looks like none of them have got injured, touch wood. But what would have happened if Saliba pulls a hamstring? What would have happened if Rice pulls a hamstring? Then it's a very different story. Now, we're lucky that hasn't happened, right? And anyone can get injured. You know, we had a joke in the studio saying that Kieran Tierney, I think, once got injured coming out of the shower. So, of course, anyone can get injured at any point. But why risk it? Why would you risk that? And that's where I'm at, Lee. What about yourself?
Yeah, listen, first and foremost, I've got to say this. I'm with you when you see both sides. There is no right and wrong in this. You know what I mean? If you've got an opinion that it is, and whatever. This is my opinion. It's got nothing to do with, like, you know, Stephen just said, who cares about the kids? They are not needed for a Champions League tie. It's not. Okay. I'm not worried when the kids are coming on. My worry is the player. I went there yesterday, not wanting to see Saliba, not wanting to see Gabriel, not wanting to see Rice. I'm not worried who's coming in. I don't want to see those players in. I want them rested. I didn't want them playing. My thing on it was like, oh, let's go to that last game of December, when we haven't got to worry about it. It's a dead rubber, and we can rest players for the busy schedule in December. That was that's how I feel about it, and that's how I would have done it if I was a manager, like, you know. But listen, I've been reading comments on Twitter today, and do you know what? Some of them are right. Bayern Munich are safely through, no problems, and everything like that, like, you know. But they had all their best players playing at Old Trafford yesterday, like, you know. So, and they're going for a title in the Bundesliga. So I understand why it's being done. My problem is a little bit with, let's just talk about the kids for the situation, whether they deserve it or whether they don't. Last year and the last 3 years, we've got players now like Martinelli, Saka, Smith Rowe, and Eddie that have been blooding in the Europa League games where they've been swapping things out on whatever, and they've been able to get games. Can't do that so much in the Champions League now, Dan. If you have a look at the Champions League, it hasn't done that at all, really, because because the standard is a little bit better. I have to say that. We went to PSV last season, played a much changed team. I don't know if you remember, in the Europa League, lost 2-0. It didn't really matter, like, you know. Now, I understand it. And it is a crazy thing, this, Dan, when we was talking about this yesterday. £2.5 million if you win that game yesterday, right? I don't think you get that in prize money if you win the FA Cup. You know what I mean? So put it into context. It's crazy money. So, you know, all of a sudden you're earning, like, I don't know how many wins did we get out of the competition. I done it. You know, someone you might know this, or people in the chat. Do you get half the money than if it's a draw? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, you pick up 900k. We picked up now.
So you know,
we missed out on $1 million and a bit, basically. Like, by not winning the game.
You can't sneeze at that sort of stuff. Like, you know what I mean? So we've earned big money already in these group stages. Big money, you know what I mean? 10 million more than a lot of our rivals. If you look at it, like, you know, even Man United, I think they've won winning it. You know what I mean? Like, haven't earned great money out of it, but we have. So what that does?
75 million that we've made now from Champions League just this year. So 75 million pound more we've been given. Let's spend some of that in January.
Yeah, that will help out on budgets and things like that. So I get all of that side of it, like, you know. But listen, 3 minutes from the end of the game, would it have really affected if you'd have put Wanyeri on instead of Jesus? Now, you know, 2 years ago he put him on at Brentford. You know what I mean? Like, what? And he doesn't deserve a game 2 years later, after being put in a Premier League game against Brentford. I'm not criticising Mikel when he does this. I get it. You know, he wants to win games of football. I like that attitude. You know what I mean? Don't care whatever game it is, he wants to win it, like, you know. What I worry about with these youngsters, and they are very, very good, is where they're going to get their opportunities. Like, they didn't get it in the League Cup this season because we've got a very, very strong squad nowadays. I know that you don't think it needs strengthening and all that, but they're all players that have, you know, like you look at Kivior, international. Cedric's played for his country. You know what I mean? Like, all the players coming in, El Neni yesterday, Jorginho, have all played for their country. Nelson has played at youth level internationally. Trossard's an international. Eddie's an international. So they're all international players.
Because I have this, and a lot of people say, oh my God, you think we need 5, 12, 15 players? No, I don't. I think this squad, if you want to be in the Champions League, don't do anything. Just keep it. Don't do anything. You'll get there. We'll easily get top 4, top 5 this year. We ain't going to come 6th this year. If we do, there's a problem. So keep the squad. It's absolutely fine. If you want to win the league, you've got to do more. Because
I agree.
You look at what Man City's B team is, they've got Alvarez, we've got Eddie, they've got Doku, we've got Nelson, they've got Kovacic, we've got El Neni, they've got John Stones, we've got Kivior. It goes on. That is why we are still only 4, maybe 5 short. So when people say to me, well, what do you expect from this squad? What do you expect? I expect them to win a title because we're 5 years down the line and we spent 700 million and we
Yep.
still ain't there yet. So this is where I need to come. And listen, last night there were some really good performances. That doesn't mean we need to not spend any money now because Nelson had a good game and Cedric looked like he can come and do a job. I still want them upgraded because it was PSV, not Man City. So if Saka now goes down for 6 weeks and Nelson has to play 6 weeks in a row, are we going to miss Saka? Or are we going to go, bloody hell, Nelson? I mean, Saka's going to struggle to get in this team now. No, we need somebody to come in for Saka. I love Nelson, I think. I love the lad. But he ain't quite there. Eddie Nketiah scored a goal last night. Everyone's saying, oh, is he underrated again? I saw something I was joking with the social media team today on DR Sports about Eddie and Cazorla. I don't know if you saw it. Eddie Nketiah has scored more Champions League goals than Cazorla. I mean, what is going on here? What is actually going on here? Like, let's be real. When he scores a goal, underrated player. He goes 31 games without a goal. Yeah. Oh, he scored again. He's underrated. 31 games without a goal. Oh, he scored again. He must be underrated. What is it? I don't get this. Why don't we just upgrade the why don't we do? Why is it a crime to say we still need players at this side? I don't think it is. I think we need a striker. I think we need a midfielder that's box to box, not just Declan Rice. Because if he goes down, we ain't got a box to box midfielder. I still think we need another centre half. Because if Saliba goes down, I don't trust any of our right sided centre backs. I don't think Tomiyasu and Ben White can just shift across because we're then short at right back. There's 4 or 5 positions still, Lee. I don't think that's a crime to say that.
No, I agree. I don't think. I think we probably need 2 or 3 more. Like, you know what I mean. I definitely think now we need a central defender. I don't know how long Tomiyasu is going to be out. I think sometimes along the line, if you lose Saka, it's hard to replace those sort of people, and the drop-off's always going to be big. A little bit like with Jesus last season with Eddie. Eddie come in and done it up to a certain point, and that's how it's going to be like. But if you're going to lose Saka long term, that's a different scenario. But like 4 or 5 weeks, I think Nelson could probably fit in and do that. I'm not saying that he can do it a chunk of games, you know what I mean? Because the better players you're going to miss, you can get away with them missing 1 or 2 games down, but it's when it goes 3, 5, 10, that's when it's tough. Like, you know, I looked at that game yesterday, and yeah, you know, listen, the pressure's off. Look at Ramsdale yesterday. Like, you know, he didn't look a bag of nerves yesterday like he did in the game against Brentford. He was very, very impressive yesterday because the pressure's off, Dan. You know what I mean? There was a relaxed mood in the team. There was a relaxed mood in the fans and all that. Like, you know, now I'm not on this train or bandwagon where I went over there yesterday and said, like, I don't want to see this player, I don't want to see that player. And then if we'd have lost 6-0, I had the I didn't care if we'd have won 6-0. I don't care if we won 7-0 or whatever. I weren't going to lose no sleep over that game whatsoever. Now, listen, fans are different. Fans don't like to see teams lose and Arsenal lose and whatever. Yesterday, I went to that game, and I can categorically tell you this now. I didn't care if we won, lost or drew, like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously I wanted us to win, but if we didn't, it weren't the end of the world, like, you know, because it didn't matter, Dan, like. But what I didn't want was injuries, and that we didn't get any, and that's the main thing. And probably, like, you know, certain players got some game time. I thought Jorginho, that was minutes that he needed under his belt there. I thought Kivior, like, needed another game after the Luton game, like, struggling a little bit at left back, if I'll be honest. But, you know, what I liked about him, he kept going, kept doing what he was doing. Ben White come on for the last 20 minutes there. Would he have made a big difference if Raul Walters would have come on there? I don't think it would have done. That's my personal opinion. I don't think it would have made that too much of a difference, you know. But listen, it is what it is from that point of view. Like, you know, I don't think Mikel should be criticised for it. I don't think that he should be glorified in it or whatever, and whatever way you want to look at it. I just think it's his decision. Say I disagree with it. I don't really disagree with it, Dan. But for me, I would have liked to have seen those kids come on at the end just to give it something a little bit different somewhere along the line, you know. But for me, you know, we could have won it in the end, Dan. You know what I mean? Trossard had a very, very good chance.
Should have run it, mate. Should have won it.
Probably should have won it. Ramsdale made a couple of good saves. I thought they made changes as well. It's not good, you know. This I was speaking to a couple of the PSV guys out there. They made changes. They made 3 or 4. I think 3 or 4 they made, where we made about 8, didn't they? Like, you know. So, and I'm going to say it now. I don't know how you feel about this. You know, I thought it was a good game to watch. I thought both teams, considering it was a dead rubber, it was a competitive game. I'm not saying there was no nasty tackles going in, but both teams went for it, and I quite enjoyed it, Dan, if I'll be really honest.
Yeah, I thought it was a good game, and I thought PSV had their chances as well. I must say, the goal they scored was an absolutely superb finish. I mean, like a Thierry Henry finish, wasn't it? You know, the way he curled it in. It was fantastic. No chance for Ramsdale. Thought they had a couple in the first half, and I must say that Saliba and Gabriel were the two that actually looked like they were going to make mistakes, if any at all. So I must say, I don't care that the kids didn't come on. That's not my thing. Like, oh, it's a shame that Ethan didn't get a game. None of that crap. For me, I just didn't want to see them players coming on. There was other players on the bench they could have used instead of Rice, Erdegaard, the ones that we really don't want to see coming on. So that was my only really question mark. And I think that people that come back and say, yeah, but we want to try to win the game. We weren't 4-0 up. We were 1-1. They've got a fair point. Yeah, because you should always try and win every single game. But when I'm looking at Brighton at the weekend and I'm seeing Declan Rice and I'm seeing Jesus and I'm seeing Erdegaard and Saliba and Gabriel both started, I'm like, hang on a minute, this is starting to look like a bloody first team now. Let's be careful. So that was my only thing in my question on my mind, because we have got lucky. We didn't get anything from the game in terms of injuries. And people in the chat are right. When Tomiyasu, Partey and Simba do come back, we've got an all right bench again, Lee. You know, you add Smith Rowe and Trossard to that, Vieira to that.
Yes.
We've got a very good bench. But what I'm saying is that if we're going to go to that next level, because unfortunately in our league, you have to be tip top to win the Premier League. It's not like this will probably do you. You might get over the line. We've got to still do more, because last season, the bench is looking very similar to last year, in my opinion. Yeah, there's not many players on that bench now, Lee. I mean, tell me, who is on the bench now that wasn't on the bench last year? How many of them? How many of these players are new? There ain't any, bruv. There ain't any. Because one of them's in this first 11, because it's Rice. The other one's an upgrade on the goalkeeper, because Matt Turner's not there now, it's Ramsdale. But who else is on that can come on the outfield play? Who is there? Timber, but he's injured. There's no one else.
Which is unlucky.
That is unlucky. But really, he's the only new one. So you're telling me the only bench player is one, and Ramsdale, two, if you want to count the keeper. But he don't really get brought on. So the only player we can bring in on from last season that's different is Timber, and he's injured. So we still ain't done enough, mate. We've still got more players to get in this door.
Yeah,
and
I agree that.
Don't get me wrong, I think we will.
Yeah, I agree that, because if you really want to break it down and get to the bones of the conversation, you know, Havertz has come in to replace Xhaka. So we've not upgraded there, but you know what I'm saying. Do
you know what, Havertz? I've forgotten, actually. That's a good shout.
We've not strengthened the bench, though. You know what I mean? We've replaced like for like, whatever you way you look at it. Like, you know, what would have been nice for me is if Xhaka was still there and we had Havertz as well. Do you know what I mean? But that I get what you're saying. And of course, Partey is a big loss to that bench as well. Like, and Tomiyasu, if Tomiyasu would have played yesterday, that would have been fit. Shame, I'm pretty sure that central defensive partnership weren't there. But you're right about that. I think that I know it sounds silly, but Gabriel and Saliba done things yesterday I wouldn't expect to do in a Premier League game on Sunday. Like they sort of like dived in a little bit, because they didn't want to make the tackle or chase back. They've sort of played reserved in themselves a little bit, like, you know. I'm going to say it now. I don't know how you feel about this one. No, I was very, very surprised that Kai Havertz played the whole game. Like, you know what I mean, towards the end, like, you know what I mean. I thought he played very, very well again. He's playing really well now. I'm not saying he's proving everybody wrong, but I think his standards have gone right up. And I thought he was one of the better players again yesterday, always looking to make things happen. But, you know, would I have said that 3 or 4 weeks ago? I want Havertz rested, you know what I mean?
Well, like, can I pick you up on that one, though? Because I think it's a nice segue to what I was going to talk about. I think Kai Havertz has improved in the last few weeks, and you're right. I think in the last 3 games, he's definitely been one that I look at and go, do you know what? You've been one of the better performers. What was a bit over the top to give him player of the month ahead of Rice, did you? I don't understand how Declan Rice ain't one player of the month, bro.
Well, listen, I didn't know that they just give that out to boost confidence and things like that. Like, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. But, you know, listen, it's laughable, right, that the Premier League player of the month was Harry Maguire. You know what I mean? Oh, look, listen,
manager of the month was Ten Hag, apparently.
Ten Hag, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that's gone well for him. But I have to say, I've watched every game like this, as you have, like, you know what I mean? And I've been blown away by Declan Rice. And good old Harry, I'm going to bring old Harry up again, like, you know. Oh, and Tom, he deserved it more than Declan Rice. Why? Declan Rice has been by far our best player, and I'm going to be really honest with you. Probably Saliba second, Gabriel third, and then Kai Havertz fourth. Go back and have a look when he scored against Brentford. 18th, 19th of December. November. I know it was like I'd come back from Dubai the next day, so I know. So it must have even been long, about the 20th of November, right?
Yeah, it was. It was the.
So
It was
we had
around
the
that.
international break. We had the international break in that as well, and then he scored probably the 20th of November.
It was the
So
19th, I think. It was the
was it
18th or
19th? All right, 19th.
Yeah.
So from
Something
the
like that. Something
19th
like
of
that.
November, right, from the 19th of November to the 30th of November, he's been brilliant. Well, what about the weeks before November? I thought he was player of the month, not player of the back
When
end of
Rice has
November.
been good all month, all season.
Rice has been up there all season. So I do find it ridiculous, and I find that, you know, I like the fact that, you know, that Havertz is doing well, and I'm really, really pleased with him. Like, you know, but when I see it, I thought, no.
But
I'm
who
not.
chooses that, by the way? Who gives those
I,
awards out? Is it fans? Is it
think it's fans.
players?
I'm not so
Right.
sure, but, like, you know, I mean, they probably looked at it and said, "Oh, look, Rice has got 600,000 votes. Kai Havertz has got 3. Oh, we'll just put a 1 in front of that. That'll make that all right." Like, you know what I mean? And whoa, it makes the signing look so much better and everything like that. No. I'm not. I'm not having it. And at the end of the day, look, fans
It's
vote. It
fans.
is a fans
TVG
vote.
says it's fans voted.
It
So
is a fans
fans have
vote.
done it
So
for confidence. The players are giving him a penalty to give him a confidence boost. The fans are now giving him player of the month to give him
yeah,
confidence boost.
and I
Let's
think
hope we
there was a little
continue
bit in
playing
it.
the way he is, because I thought against Villa he was quality as well. But I do think he's getting there, but I don't think it's a bit over the top, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and
But you know,
Dan, I
whatever.
agree with what
Whatever.
I agree with what Harry and Tom are saying to a certain thing, because that's how fans think. Oh, he deserves it more than Declan because Declan can handle it. It's better for uh it's better for Kai Havertz to get it because it's, you know, like confidence thing. So, like, thinking like a fan, but I think like I'm a little bit more like, you know, no,
Yeah, same. I'm with you.
who deserves it? I don't care. Like, do you know when you go to these things? I always like, and this is no word of a lie. I don't know if you did this when you was in the youth football and all that, like, because I definitely did it because, like, my dad was like the manager and everything, like, so they do say like player come in, right? And I'm just going to say, just say you won the players player, right? And got the votes, right? My dad would not give you the manager's month
That's it.
award. We wouldn't give you the manager's award as well because he'd turn around and go, "Oh, Dan's won that, so I'm going to give so and so like a go, like, do you know what I mean?" So they give it to somebody else, like, and you so you share it about a little bit, like, you know. But when I went into like semi-pro level and that, if the supporters player of the year was whoever it was, and the manager wouldn't look at it and go, "Oh, he's won the supporters player of the year, I ain't get it." It was a little bit more ruthless. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I
you know,
agree. I agree, and I think you're right. There's definitely been that's a typical performance now of Declan Rice. So we expect that. Havertz, though, has actually completely changed everyone's opinions, and he's been a bit more of a shock. So we'll give it to him. I think that's where it's at with the fan base. But either way, he's won it. We move on, and I hope that Kai Havertz does continue those performances. I wanted to talk to you about a couple of players from last night, Lee, that I think we've kind of touched on, but just more about their performance in general and where you see their futures. Nelson and Eddie down that right hand side, and Cedric, to be fair, I thought were some of the best players on the pitch. I thought the right hand side of Arsenal was where everything was happening. I thought Nelson was a better player on the night than Trossard. I thought Cedric did more than Kivior, who we'll come back to in a minute. And then up top, Eddie Nketiah, to be fair to him, he took his goal. And it was a really good goal as well. I feel like we come back, not so much to Cedric because he's going to go at the end of the season. I feel like we come back to these two players quite a lot, Reece Nelson and Eddie Nketiah. And I've had my say. I think they both need upgrading. I like them both. I like their work rate. I love the fact they give 110. I love the fact they love Arsenal. I love the fact they've come through the academy. There's nothing I don't like about them as people. But when I look at titles, do I see Reece Nelson and Eddie Nketiah as massively important parts of Arsenal winning a title? No, I don't. So I'm more than happy for them to do well in these games. And I thought Reece Nelson, to be fair, is probably one that, other than a few 10, 15-minute chances that he's had, he hasn't been given an Eddie Nketiah a chance. He hasn't been given a Trossard or Smith Rowe chance. He hasn't been given a Vieira chance. So he's the one that I'm more interested in, because I think we know with Eddie that he does get a chance. So where are you at with those two, man? What do you think will happen with them two in their kind of careers? Are they going to stay at Arsenal?
No, I think probably be moved on at a certain point. If I'll be really honest, like, why do you think Eddie had a good game? Eddie I thought had a good game yesterday as well. And Reece Nelson probably. Who would you say had a better game? I asked you the question: Reece Nelson or Trossard?
Reece Nelson yesterday for me.
Right. So on Sunday, he's taking off Martinelli. Who's coming on?
It ain't going to be Nelson. It'll be Trossard.
Right.
Any money.
Trossard. Right. Okay. So that tells you that one really wants to really, really impress. The other one knows that where he is in the pecking order, like, yeah. And that's what you got from Nelson yesterday. A real 100% top. I try and show you what I am, boss. Like, wouldn't it have been like the other youngsters would have done exactly the same? Like, sometimes. Listen, I played in games. We used to when I played. The county cup was a competition that you'd rest players, it was just one of those things that you do, like, perhaps in the earlier rounds, because you'd play some teams that weren't, in the county weren't so big. So it's, say if you was playing in that game, like, yeah, you just do enough to get through that game. Then you know what I mean, like,
yeah.
Because you don't want to get injured. You've got a game on the Sunday. There was always midweek games, so you'd play on the Saturday. But and say if I was like the midfield partner next to me was a young kid coming through, and that he'd work his real work and really, really hard, trying to impress. Come Saturday, the player that's been rested would come back into the team, like, Now I guarantee you, that kid that was playing next to me in that game worked a lot harder than me in that game. You know what I mean? Like, because he wanted it to try and impress and whatever, like, and that's what happens in these games as well. Trossard knows that come Saturday, he's probably going to be on the bench. Sorry, come Sunday, he knows he's going to be on the bench. And then come the decision's been made, Nelson ain't going to get it, Dan. You know what I mean? Like that. That's how it is. You know what I mean? So in football, there's a pecking order. Like,
Yeah,
and that's how it is. Like, Martinelli, I don't think for 1 minute was ill.
No,
I think he might have sneezed or something. Like, you know what I mean? They said, "Oh, you stay at home like today." Like, but I guarantee, like, we'd be in the team on Sunday, and rightly so. Same as Saka will be.
Is he going to? Yeah, you think he'll start on Sunday, Martinelli?
Yeah. Martinelli, Jesus, and Saka. I'd be very, very surprised if it's not.
And you would play Nelson if he ain't?
No, Trossard.
You'd play Trossard as well?
Yeah. I would, because Trossard's the next one on. He's the next taxi on the rank, then.
Listen, I honestly don't disagree, and I feel I can only big Nelson up so much by the performances I see from him. And I thought last night was one of those. I felt like he was confident. He had no fear. He looked like he was the only player that showed a little bit of threat and flair when he went forward on that side. So I'm going to give him a lot of credit. But I don't see him being an Arsenal shirt. And I know for people that have met Reece Nelson, he's proper loves Arsenal. Like, proper loves Arsenal. We got a proper gooner there. So I like everything about him. I liken those sort of players, Lee, Eddie as well, to kind of Danny Welbeck and Iwobi. They're never going to be an Arsenal player, but they give you 110%. And you can look at them and go, I don't mind them coming in and doing a job, because actually they'll give you 110%, but I don't want them to go win me a title. We were never going to win the title with Danny Welbeck up top. We're never going to win the title with Alex Iwobi. That's why they're playing for Fulham and Brighton now. So I kind of like that with Eddie and Nelson. Are they going to be playing for Fulham and Brighton in about 3 years' time? Possibly. Possibly they will. And I think we need to upgrade on that. And that's why I'm looking at the rumours, which we'll come on to in a minute, about the transfer rumours, because that's where I'm at now. Last night proved to me that we are still a little bit short.
Yeah, I agree, but I still think that they can do a job as squad players. You know what I mean? That's how it is, and that's what they are at this moment in time. They're not they're not top notch players. They're never going to be, but squad players are important. Then, you know, the players like Nelson that comes in and puts in that performance yesterday. He's not going to sulk when he's going to be left out next game and all that, like, you know. So I do think there is a role for these guys to play. I don't know if you noticed it, that Eddie's roles are certainly getting a little bit more limited now, like, you know, because Jesus is back. Jesus is a different animal, like, you know. But you know, and eventually these players come and go. But listen, I know what you're saying when you look at that team, that the Invincibles. I don't know we go on about teams that win the league, but you had players in that team, Carnu, Wiltord. You know what I mean? Like still a downgrade on Bergkamp and Henry, but not much of a gap. You know what I mean? And that's, I think, we've got to elevate certain things.
Like in every position as well. Edu and Gilberto, Parler and Lundberg. You know, we had Reyes and Perez. There was a drop off, but it weren't like, who the hell's this clown coming in? You know.
Yeah,
and I think you're right. We are not quite there with a couple of positions yet. We're there with some, for sure.
Yeah, we're there with some, but not with others. Yeah, exactly.
Not with others. Exactly that, man. And we're getting there still. Listen, I wanted to ask quickly before we do come to a close in the next 10. My mum's asking the chat, and a few people have spoken about it. Aaron Ramsdale. He came back in. You said he played well. I thought he played well. And me and Robbie mentioned it on both the fan cams, actually. I don't know what it is, Lee, but I just feel more comfortable with Ramsdale in goal still. I just felt yesterday more comfortable. Maybe it is because I got used to it. Maybe it is because Raya's still new. Maybe it is because I really do kind of favour Ramsdale as a goalkeeper over Raya in terms of who I think's better. But even yesterday, you know, I just felt more comfortable. I don't know how you felt in the ground with it, mate.
I did feel more comfortable yesterday with Aaron in goal, but that's not. I don't think that was because it was. I just think it was the occasion. The pressure was off. I really that's what I do feel like. You know, I think that we looked a little bit better on crosses yesterday, corners and whatever. We've been defending them but again, I feel that the pressure was off a little bit. Like, you know, what I will say is, you know what I mean. It's obvious who the Arsenal fans want as a number one. Like yesterday, every time they were singing his song, England's number one, Arsenal's number one, Aaron Ramsdale. You know, it is quite unbelievable how much support he has got. And that must affect Raya, because I was at the Luton game, Dan, when they both come out at the same time, got in there early because, you know, you want to get a good place because you don't get allocated a seat, and everybody's singing Aaron Ramsdale and nothing for Raya. You know what I mean? So I do feel it may be affecting it in there. If you want to put it down to it, like, I don't think there's too much between the two goalkeepers, if I'll be honest.
Me neither.
But if I'm going to be really, really honest, I love what Aaron's done for us in the past, and I feel that, you know, that swings it for me. He's been a better goalkeeper for Arsenal than Raya has been for Arsenal. That's my opinion. But Raya's into a 10 game stint. It ain't going to change. Raya will be back in, like, you know.
Oh, listen, I'm done talking about the who will. We all know now. Yeah. You know, and I will say, Mark Jerome in the chat, big up Mark. He says there's a lot of love for Ramsdale. He was voted man of the match with the highest rating on the BBC website. Listen, it isn't about who's going to be number one, who's going to be number one. Apparently so. So listen, that's fair. Listen, from that to not a negative, but maybe a concern. I'm going to say it. Jakub Kiwior is not a left back. I'm going to say it there. I've said it. He is not a left back. He's come and done a job, and it's not been a very good job, I would say. It's been an okay job in moments. It's been nervy. He's supposed to be really quick, but my God, that Bakayoko was giving him a right run for his money, in my opinion, in the first half last night. I don't think he's a left back, Lee. I actually quite like him as a left centre back. I can't lie. I've been quite impressed when I have seen him. You think he's been quite calm and composed. But as a left back, I think we need to sort that out. And I wanted to ask you, have we got a problem there? Because Zinchenko gets caught out. When he's injured, Kivior is the only backup at the moment before Timber and Tomiyasu. Getting rid of Tierney as well, it just looks a bit silly now because that left back, we're kind of using Kivior, who's not very good there. When I've always said, why did we just not keep Kieran Tierney? And then when Zinchenko ain't there, or Zinchenko has a bit of a bad game, Tierney comes in. I felt we could have done more with that position. But what's your thoughts on Kivior and left back at Arsenal?
Well, listen, he wouldn't be playing there if Timber wasn't fit. Like that's the key. Like Timber would have been in there, and he's got injured. And then of course Tomiyasu was the next taxi on the rank, and he's got injured. Like I think with Tomiyasu, if you remember, played against Liverpool last season at left back, can play anywhere across the back four. I think that is what I call a wonderful squad player that can play in all the positions. And I think actually he's pushing Ben White really for the right back spot, if I'll be honest. So he's actually playing in there as third choice left back covering, really. Listen, he's coming in there to give Zinchenko a break, give him a little bit of a rest. And he is realistically the left sided centre. He's the backup really for Gabriel, and a bloody good backup for Gabriel, if I'll be honest. And the thing is, Gabriel's a machine, thank God. So his chances are going to be limited playing in that position. And a little bit unfair for him yesterday that he's had to play left back. But listen, try and learn a different position, trying to get it. I suppose it's a good thing. Maybe I think he could play in the back three, and I think he can also play as a player in a central defence. I'm really not too bothered about his position at left back. For me, I don't think he was that bad yesterday. And the thing is, if I was, I don't know, I never played left back or right back. But if I did play there and was told to play there on a couple of occasions, and you're up against a tricky winger, I think he would give me a torrid time because your positioning and whatever is not quite so good. So I'm not really too bothered. And I think it's a little bit harsh. People are starting to judge him on his couple of left back positions. I don't think he's been. I thought their right-sided player, by the way, was bloody tricky.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Bakayoko, that is him.
Yeah, yes, he was bloody tricky. I'd imagine Zinchenko and Tomiyasu would have had a tough time against him. So I think it's a little bit bit harsh on him,
Tom Canton's in the chat. Going to talk TV.
Blimey, was he finished cleaning Arteta's back garden?
He's apparently finished his lawn. Yeah, he's just
finished his lawn. Well done.
Onto the cleaning up and drying up. Apparently,
he's on the dishes now. Is he?
Yeah, on the dishes now. Big up, Tom. Says, "Cool. These two are always moaning, aren't they?" Going to Talk TV. Make sure you go to Talk TV. You'll see Tom every morning at 8 a.m. Make sure you go over and subscribe. Listen, judges. Lastly, before you have to shoot out. Ivan Toney links are coming up again on loan with an obligation to buy, I'm hearing. And some people are saying that Eddie Nketiah might be chucked in with the deal. Whether that's true or not, would you take him in January, Ivan Toney?
Yes. And I'll tell you why. Because he's an upgrade on Eddie. That's why I would take him. I know that Aston Villa of 10, 15 minutes to go, you're 1-0 down. Who I'd rather have coming on. And I don't mean that nastily, you know what I mean? And I'm not moaning Mr. Canton when I say that, I'm just saying I just think he's a better player and an upgrade. I do. Someone said, which was a great point yesterday, was talking after the game, he hasn't played for 6 months. Would that make a difference? We was having a discussion. He'd be playing probably games behind closed doors and things like that. I don't know, but that is a point. But I think that somewhere along the line, you've got to take a gamble. I don't think that if I'll be really honest, Tony's better than Jesus. I don't think he's an upgrade on Jesus. Different player, but I don't think he's an upgrade. If we had a cup final or we're playing Manchester City in the league, my front three would be the front three that we have now. But Tony coming on as if things ain't going well or whatever, he'd certainly get his games, but that would be my front three. But I do believe that.
Do you think that he would score more than Jesus if he was in the Arsenal side for a year, Tony?
Maybe, but would he assist as many chances for the others?
This is
That,
it.
that,
Like as a
that,
footballer all round, I think Jesus is unreal. But
yeah,
when you look at his
I don't think it should be
finishing,
underestimated what Jesus does. Then forget about he don't score as many goals. But like, listen, he's been injured for a great part of it. But I remember look at the pass for Wolves. Can Tony do that pass? I don't know. You know what I mean? But like an Odegaard scores. So I don't think I think listen. Back in my day, forwards were judged on goals. Now players are judged on
yeah, it's changed.
assists. It's changed. So and Jesus is probably the modern day forward and all that but I think Tony would get us goals and more important goals and all, but will also give us a different option. If I'd be really honest about it, and I'm not having a go at Eddie when I say this, but when Jesus comes off, you're going like for like, but a downgrade on it. If you're bringing
Yeah.
Tony on for Jesus, you're going for a different style. And I think that we need that plan B. I really do.
Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. And I've had this argument with Tom a few times. Big up Tom, he's in the chat. Ivan Toney, or you go to the summer and you get an Osimhen. And I've always been about let's win now. And I always want to try and maximise each transfer window. And for me, if Osimhen's available this transfer window, go get him. If he's not, and Tony is, you go get Tony.
And
I
then sell
understand.
Tony in the summer.
Say again?
Then sell Tony in the summer.
Well, listen, you could be ruthless like that, or you could go and
he's been ruthless with the goalkeeper like that. So why couldn't you go and get Tony?
Well, listen, you could do that, or what you could
Tony
do
on loan, and then if the one you really want comes available, then you go and do that. He's been ruthless with the goalkeeper situation. Be ruthless with that. I ain't got no problem with him saying, right, Tony, you're coming in for 6 months. Oh, now I've got the opportunity to sign Osimhen or Vlahovic, whoever it is. I don't know. I don't know who it is. And then go, I'll tell you what, you're going back to Brentford or we're selling you. I ain't got no problem with that, Dan. You know what I mean?
Like, I mean, listen, what you could do that, or you could say we need a cover for Saka. We're going to get Tony in now. Jesus can play up top, but also he can now play as the cover for Saka. And then you've still got a time to go and get another striker around Tony to get Osimhen and Tony. Do you know what I mean? You could be ruthless in that way and say, actually, I want the best players available. I don't care if people come happy. It's my job to keep them happy, like Pep does. He's got top quality players that should be all in first teams. You go that route. So there is a couple of ways we can do. What I don't want is to go and get to have Jesus and just go and get another Eddie. That's what I don't want. You might as well keep Eddie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
That's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at. And, Tom rightly so is bringing up a stat saying that Tony's goals per shot last season is worse than Eddie Nketiah's. Listen, if you really think Ivan Toney is worse than Eddie Nketiah, that is your opinion. But in my opinion, Ivan Toney is better than Eddie Nketiah. Because Ivan Toney got 19 goals last year.
Well, listen,
and Eddie got about 6.
I'm going to be really honest when I say this, because I'm going to be really honest, and I can't believe I'm sticking up for Tom a little bit here. We don't know how good Tony's going to be in an Arsenal shirt.
Absolutely, we don't know how good Osimhen's going to be. It's all risky.
We know what Eddie can do in an Arsenal shirt. We know what Eddie can do in an Arsenal shirt. It doesn't mean to say that Tony's going to do that. We know what he's done in a Brentford shirt, but then you can go back to the goalkeepers. You know what I mean? All the stats tell me that. All the statisticians of this world tell me that Raya's a better goalkeeper. He's not been a better goalkeeper in an Arsenal shirt, and there's a difference. So I agree that at the moment we know Eddie can do this. Eddie scored goals for Arsenal. He scored a Champions League goal yesterday that is as good as what a lot of other strikers will be very, very proud of scoring a goal like that. Fantastic finish yesterday.
Laurie, Robbie's brother, he absolutely always says to me, look, Eddie Nketiah, we need to upgrade him, but he ain't a poor player. He says all the time, I like Eddie Nketiah. He says, I like him. You know what? If we could have bought a Tony and Eddie wanted to stay, he can still be a part of this squad. But having him up top for a run of 6-7 games, it ain't for me. But some people like him. It's all opinion.
I totally agree with that. You know what I mean? I totally agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we're going to wrap it up there, people.
No worries.
Make sure you do us a favor and like and subscribe. This channel is now very active, myself and Leah back. So make sure you support the channel and get us up to our next target, which I believe is 40K. So make sure you do that, please, people. Like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. It's 2 buttons. That's all you got to do. If you want to come over and join myself, Kenny Kenner Northside at 7 p.m. on my channel, Football's 12th Man, you can do later on. So please make sure you come join us there. Yeah, we will see you next time. Lee, it's over to you to see us out, mate.
Oh, yes, of course it is. Don't forget North London podcast tomorrow. The old Spurs boys will be a little bit more happy they got a result at the week, but we'll still be above them then. Like, we'll be on the top.
Yeah, mate.
I look forward to doing that. Until tomorrow, get over to Dan, watch his show at 7 o'clock. We're out of here. Have a good one, guys.